All right. Is my mic on? Testing. It's hard to tell. All right. Just wait, everyone. Wait. Okay, I think I should be on now. Sorry, everybody. It's early here, or earlier than normal. Some of you are wondering, why are we doing things so early? And that's because the Dice Tower Retreat is today. As soon as, or not today, the Dice Tower Retreat, sponsored by Restoration Games, is starting Wednesday. But we have things to do. We need to prepare for it. As soon as this is over, I got to get out of here. It's also a holiday here in America, Labor Day. So we want to try to get some stuff done so some people can celebrate the holiday. My family's celebrating my birthday today. Since I won't be here, I'll be at the retreat for my birthday. So we have a lot of things to do today, which is why we're starting a bit early here. And I apologize, but here's the good news. Even though we stream these live, you will still hear them. You can watch them later on, whether they're live or not live. All right. Well, and so to that end, let's get started here. All right. First of all, we have a contest this episode.
They're saying wrong mic, but I have you coming through cam link.
Yep. Looks like the mic is working here. Is Tom looking a bit thinner? No, I'm just wearing a different shirt, that's all.
I don't know. I'm showing it coming through the right mic.
Yeah, it looks like it's... Well, if I turn this off, we'll know. Mic is off, and you're still hearing me. That's weird. If the mic is off, why would someone still hear me?
Or could it be coming through the boom mics too?
Did we turn the boom mics on for something?
I did not. I wouldn't know how to.
You're watching this stuff live, folks. Hang on a second. What was the last thing we did in here?
You did the live play.
Did we use the boom mics for that?
I didn't think so. You were all
Well,
loud.
let me look on the camera here.
Yeah, it says it's coming through cam link 4 too.
All right, folks. Well, you're just going to have to suffer with some weird sound today. Sorry about that. I wonder where the sound is coming from then.
I don't know. I can't figure it out.
Change the Cam Link 4K thing. Let's see what that can switch to. Is there change it to 4K, not 4K2.
Okay.
How about now? Hopefully the sound is better now. We'll find out soon enough. Okay. Well, whatever. Is there another cam hooked up? Oh, we do have both cameras hooked up, don't we?
Oh, maybe that's what it is.
Yeah. Okay, well, anyway, we have a contest. 3 copies of Roarin' Right. This is for the USA only. This is from Pandasar's Games. You see one of their upcoming games here, Machikoro 2 on the wall behind me. We'll be playing that live here on the channel in a few weeks. Anyway, the question here is, what booth number is Pandasar's have at Gen Con? Put that in the body of your email. For the subject, put the word Raptor and just email to contest@dicetower.com. So, there you go. That's pretty much all you need to do. So 3 copies of Roarin' Right, and you have a chance to win one of those. So thank you to Pandasars. All right, with that amazing, flawless, no problems at all start, let's go to some contributors.
Hi, it's Tarrant.
And Stella from People University and the Dice Tower. Now, Tarrant, would you get a game that you love, but a lighter version of it? Let's say Terraforming Mars, and then Terraforming Mars Ares, or Regis of Genghis, and get Regis of Genghis to Dice Shaman, for example.
Oh look, that's a big it depends. I think the more I like the heavy game, the less I want to see stuff stripped out of it.
Oh, really?
And the less I've played the heavy game, the more inclined I would be to try the lighter one.
I would imagine, it's from myself, if I like this game, let's say Terraforming Mars, I would be inclined to go for the lighter version with a couple of things in mind. First, if I want to feel like playing the heavier game but the shorter time. And second, if I can get somebody to play this game, the lighter version, before introducing them to the heavier version, I would totally do that, I think.
Yeah, you think of something like Castles of Burgundy, which has 3 light versions in Tuscany and the dice game and the card game. They all, Burgundy's such a well-loved game. I don't think those light ones are going to scratch the itch of traditional Burgundy fans in any serious way.
It's actually true, yeah.
But they all have their place.
Mm-hmm. And probably as a publisher, it's probably a good thing to publish something like that. This is not strictly similar, but Mercado and Lisboa and
Mercado de Lisboa.
Mercado de Lisboa, just taking one part of the mechanic and have the board game.
Yes.
So what do you think? Let us know in the comments, and we are on YouTube and on the Dice Tower. See you next time.
The humans vanished, and the world fell into chaos and panic. There were no more humans making food, no more humans creating shelter. Tragedy has forced a group of young trainees to become providers before they are ready. Trek through the sweeping outdoors, or creep through the claustrophobic nooks and crannies of ruined buildings. Seek out food and water so that your colony might survive. Battle those who would threaten your colony, or use diplomacy to forge new alliances. Keep your head up and your weapons sharp. You will need every tool at your disposal if you hope to survive the aftermath.
Assalamu alaikum. Aftermath is an adventure game in the same series as Stuffed Fables, Mice and Mystics, Common Arts, and I will say that this is accumulation of all Jerry Hawthorne has learned over making those games and combined them in one big adventure game, which has a lot of cool mechanisms. But that also leads to one of the problems with the game, that it has a very flawed rule book. It leaves a lot of things open, doesn't clarify them. What I would recommend is getting the Aftermath enhanced rulebook. So what I had done was picked up the original rulebook and took all the same structure, but rewrote each and every section to add more detail so that it is more clear for the new gamers, because some of the rules get explained in the adventure book but then not again reflected back in the rulebook. So if you get the enhanced rulebook on the link below, then you're going to have a much better, hopefully much better experience with this awesome game. That's it for me. Happy gaming.
Oh my goodness! Okay, today we're looking at stuff for the Board Game Geek Store, and we're looking at socks. Yes, Meeple socks. Now I'm a big sock fan. You don't see those because I don't like stick my feet in videos, but I'll cut that later. So they have various socks. All these socks that you were seeing, I'm keeping them all and wearing them all. I'm showing them to you from my favorite to least favorite. So these are, my least favorite to favorite. So these are okay. They're black and white. Then let's see, what do I like next best? Probably these, even though I like purple. That's kind of a weird, those almost look like stars over meeples, but maybe that's not a problem. Then we got these blue and orange ones, which look like I support some sort of football team. There's a lot of blue and orange football teams, it seems, but I like them. Even more so, we have these, which are autumn styled. And then my favorite ones are these blue ones here. I really like these. Now, all this stuff is from, you can get it at the Board Game Geek Store. You can get some of our promos there too. So keep that in mind. And at Gen Con in a week, we'll be there and we'll have Board Game Geek promos and our stuff at the booth. Now, they also have a new game called Take the A Chord. I haven't played this game. Have you?
Yeah.
Is it good?
It is good.
Mike says it's good. It's a trick-taking game. I knew that. It's from Sashi and Sashi. I love the theme of this game, so this is one that I would like to get played, and if you want to get a copy, it's there. And then we got one promo to show you. This is a single card for Meadow, Bigfoot, which he's not in the card because you never see Bigfoot, just his footprints. Well, he's in the background, but pretend you can't see that. So this is a normal type card worth 4 points, needs a couple items. I don't know, it's just a cool picture, an extra thing to add to your Meadow North deck. So that's what we have on Board Game Geek this week. Socks!
Hi everybody.
Hello, we are Ryan and Bethany.
From Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
All right, today we're talking about Tiny Epic Tactics. This is kind of like a combat game, right? Everybody has a wizard, a beast, a fighter, something like a paladin kind of a knight kind of a thing, and an archer on their team. There are a whole bunch of these different cards for each. Everybody shuffles them up, you get one of each. And each one has different special powers, different health levels, different ammunition, all that kind of stuff. So then you're battling out on this board. There's all different terrain types. There's forests and there's peaks and there's water and there's actually raised terrain, which is kind of neat.
Yeah.
Something
it's 3D.
It's 3D terrain which is pretty cool for a tiny epic game like this. So yeah, it basically amounts to gave me like a miniatures game experience in a really small package. Yeah, Tiny Epic Tactics.
So this is really fun and I enjoyed it. I did confuse myself a lot though when I would see the character, because the character on your card has this really fun artwork, right? But the meeple is the same, and so sometimes I'd be confused and I'm like, who is this again? Who is it on my board? What do they do? And the meeples they look different, but they look similar enough for me to confuse myself all the time. That's just the Bethany thing, though. I'm looking for the artwork, the people, but they're not there. It's just the minis.
This was a little bit rule heavy for what seemingly was this pretty simple game, but there's a lot of things to remember, a lot of upkeep. So if you're in a forest, you have +1 shield level. If you're in a water, you have less movement.
You're on a mountain.
You have unlimited range. Just every little bit of square, you had to keep track of where you were and what was going on. And there's a lot of upkeep at the beginning of each round. You had to see whether or not someone had control of an area. There's kind of like a capture the flag, king of the hill kind of thing going on. So you had to kind of keep track of all that. But once you got all that locked in, it was a lot smoother.
Yeah.
And also, I will say that there is a lot of modes of play. You get a lot of bang for your buck in this. There's a cooperative mode, a competitive mode, a team mode, a solo mode. Lots of game in here. We liked it a lot.
It was really fun. We did enjoy it. Everybody, if you want to hear more from us, you can find us on Facebook or YouTube. We are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews. Everybody, this is Ryan and Bethany, hoping you have a happy, healthy breakfast.
Bye everybody.
Guys.
Hi, this is Ambi from Board Game Blitz, and today I'm talking about Coast to Coast, a flip and write game that's about planning a road trip across the USA. In the game, you're trying to get a high score by filling in connected locations to make a route for the road trip. Each turn, you draw 4 cards, and of those 4 cards, you choose 1 to be a location that you cross off, and the other 3 will help you choose locations to add to your road trip. The cards each have 3 features on them, and you have to choose one of the features to match to the location that you choose to add to your trip. But for the location that you choose to cross off, that location has to match perfectly to the card, and then you can never use it on your road trip in the future. You get points for filling in locations on highways, and you get more points for longer connected locations, but you also get bonus points if you have all of the same type of a location filled in, like all of the blue cities or all of the cities with number 2. So you need to plan ahead when you're choosing which locations to cross off, because you don't want to mess up your chances of getting that bonus. Also, when you cross off locations, it can be tough to get to places that you want because your routes still have to be connected. So you have to be going around and make sure there's still a path open. In the solo version of the game, you have 1 card that's your goal that you choose at the beginning, and you have to have all of the features that match that card, all of those locations in your route at the end, or else you lose the game. In the solo game, also, not all of the cards in the deck will be coming out, so you won't necessarily get all the cards you need, and that might be a little bit of pressure luck if you're going for other things other than just your goal. The solo game also restricts you in your bonuses because you'll be going for those bonuses that match your goal card, whereas in the multiplayer you'll get to choose which bonuses you go for. But overall, Coast to Coast is a nice, puzzly route building game. Thanks for watching Board Game Blitz!
Now, even though the Dice Tower Retreat is this week, we're still going to have content going up on our channel. Now, some of our live stuff is going to be very limited. In fact, there's nothing live for the rest of this week. The next live things that we do will be next Monday. That's a big fat lie. Tomorrow, we're playing Agamonia live. Rob Geislinger, me, and Z Garcia are going to be playing this cooperative game tomorrow at 10 a.m. I knew that. That's the last live thing we're doing this week, right? Yes. And then we'll be back the following Monday with Board Game Breakfast. That will be a more normal Board Game Breakfast at 9 a.m. However, that doesn't mean there's not stuff going up this week. So I've been going through the Dice Tower Library shelves. I'm going to be going through them at a much faster pace. I think I'm doing 4 of those this week. Let's see what else is coming up this week. I'm doing my top 10 farmer games. Mike is going through the different expansions for Merchant's Cove. Chris is reviewing the marvelously named and marvelously played Grease Lightning. I may have lied there twice. I'm taking a look at Shelfie Stacker. Rift Force is getting done by Z. Butterfly Garden. Roy is comparing Ankh versus Kemet versus, Exploding Minions. I'm taking a look at Unsung Gems, Sweet Existence. Wow, Chris is just beating up the bad games this week. We have a new series starting from Britta about taking adult games and making them so that little kids can play them. That's going to be starting this coming Friday. Deadpool vs. the World. Man, I forgot I reviewed some of these. It's been a while. Crash Octopus, The Secret of Monte Cristo, Catan, Treasures, Dragons, and Adventurers. And at the very end of this week, or at the beginning of next week, Cora is going to be doing her top 70 games of all time. So the first episode will go up Sunday, and then next week you'll see the rest of that. There's a lot of stuff going up this week. We hope you enjoy it all, but don't worry about that right now. Let's keep going.
Happy breakfast, everyone. Today I'm here to talk to you about Phil Walker Harding's and Big Potato's brand new game, Snakes. Snakes, on paper, sounds like it shouldn't really work. It's a trivia game with hidden traitor mechanics. Effectively, depending on the number of players, there are going to be some ordinary humans that are going to be trying to get the answer right. There's going to be the mongoose of truth, someone that reveals themselves and they are also trying to get the right answer, and you can definitely know they're going to not be trying to trip you up. And then there's the dastardly snakes that know the answer but are going to be trying to make you pick the wrong one. Points are awarded depending on which sort of side you're on. If you're on the mongoose of truth or the ordinary humans, you get a point for every player that gets it right. The snakes, who are trying to get everyone to guess it wrong, they get a point for every player that gets it wrong. After 6 rounds, whoever's got the most points wins, and it really does work. The questions are just weird and wonderful facts that you read and you're like, what the hell was going on in that time period? Then you can make educated guesses. They're not sort of completely out of like your mind in terms of I have absolutely no idea. Normally you can go, well, that one's so ludicrous it can't be right. So it's between these two. But then the snakes are like, yeah, but it's so ludicrous. Surely it's the right answer. For the first 20 games, which the cards will allow you to play in the box, Snakes is great fun, and hopefully there's more snakes on the way. Until next time, have a great day.
Did he say hopefully there's more snakes on the way? That seemed, yeah, okay, well, anyway. All right, thanks, Oliver. All right, folks, today I'm talking about the good boss. And no, this is not an actual boss of anything. So we're now doing game meetups in person again. It's been a while since that has happened, and we're doing them in person. Now, we used to do game meetups at a local game store, and that's kind of fizzled away, and now we do game meetups here at the Dice Tower Studio. And so with game meetups at the Dice Tower Studio, there's a couple things that happen. I send out the invites, people respond, they show up, we pick games and we play them. But let me tell you what does not happen. We do not say, someone shouts, let's play Ankh. Everyone says, huzzah, and we all sit down and play Ankh. That doesn't happen. I don't think that happens at any play group, usually. Here's what happens. Everyone comes and looks at the library and they walk around and they go, what do you think about this? And someone goes, I don't know. And we end up spending 30 minutes trying to pick which game to play. Now, that doesn't always happen, but it does happen often enough, and I've been thinking about this. I talked about this a long time ago in breakfast about a facilitator. We often speak highly against the alpha gamer, the person who takes control of a cooperative game and like plays other people's turns for them. But I'll tell you what, sometimes those people are good to have in a gaming group. Now, you got to be careful because you can go too far to the edge where you're telling everybody what to do, but you need somebody to run the gaming group. You need somebody to say, this is when it's going to start. You should bring snacks. You will do this. Someone comes, everyone's like, I don't know. You need someone to say, hey, I'm going to take this game. Let's play it. Want to join me? Now, there's a very fine line here where you're not ordering everybody around. But I've been in so many times where everyone's just kind of like, I don't know what I want to do. And it's kind of like, somebody take charge. So that also helps in the game itself. It helps if someone's sitting there saying, okay, it's your turn. It's your turn. Not necessarily browbeating people in the place, but just to keep things going. A game almost needs a boss of someone saying, hey, it's your turn, it's your turn. Here's this. Oh, this role's in play. Don't forget that. But it's, again, like I said, it's very, you got to find the right person to do that without irritating everybody else at the table. Now, I played in games where there's like 6 bosses, and I played in groups where people might argue very strongly about stuff. But the very fact of the matter is, I think that sometimes we get too waffly. And some people actually enjoy when somebody makes a decision. I know that I'm okay with that. You know, at my church, you know, sometimes there's something going on and I'm like, somebody take charge. Someone says, all right, let's do this. And everyone's like, good. Someone finally made a choice. And I think that that's not a bad thing. Sometimes we get all Chip and Dale. I'm not talking about that Chip and Dale. I'm talking about the cartoon Chip and Dale, where they would say, after you, no after you, no after you. And it's like, come on, one of you go through the door first. And we need a little bit more of that gumption sometimes. We both need it in the game itself to keep the game flowing, and sometimes outside the game. We need some people to say, let's meet up here. Sometimes we need people to say, hey, we need to call it. It's time for people to go home. We need people to say, hey, so-and-so, we're bringing snacks to this meetup. You should consider bringing some snacks since you eat 200 each time. We need people to say, hey, we're going to play this game out of these games, and other people will join them. You don't want to be a dictator, but sometimes a gaming group needs a good boss.
Hey there everyone, it's Jen, the board game librarian, flipping some pages and pushing some cubes with my segment From the Page to the Table, where I pair books and board games together and we go on adventures. Woo! This week I'm going to feature a book I just finished on audio, and that is The Aviator's Wife by Melanie Benjamin. This came out in 2013, and it tells the story of Anne Morrow Lindbergh, Charles Lindbergh's wife. So we have the early days of aviation going on here from Anne Morrow Lindbergh's perspective. It's an interesting book. If you like historical fiction and famous ladies, I'd recommend this book, but I don't love the Lindberghs. And this book was not great. Maybe the first time ever you've actually heard me say that, but I read it specifically to go along with Pan Am by Funko Games, where you are in the early days of aviation and you are building your air fleet along throughout the game. You are building your routes, your charting routes, you are gaining stock, you are expanding basically air travel in general, and you are upgrading your ships your planes along the way. Pan Am, to me, it was a really unexpected game from last year, from 2020, and perhaps Prospero Hall's most complex design. I'd love to hear your comments below, but a really interesting game. That is all for this week. Happy breakfast!
Last week, we ranked all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies and TV shows. If you haven't got a chance to watch that, go disagree with us. The newest movie came out over the weekend, which is Shang Chi and the Legend of the 10 Rings. And I believe, after watching the movie, it's Shang Chi, I think. I was listening. That's part of the movie where they explain how to pronounce it. I'll go straight up. I'm not planning to spoil the movie, so don't worry about that. I just want to talk about it as non-spoilery as I can, but I really did enjoy this movie a lot. This is essentially a Hong Kong kung fu movie set in the Marvel Universe. You don't need to know a background of the Marvel Universe to know what's going on, although they reference the big movie Endgame, or Infinity War. They reference that in the movie briefly, and there's a couple cameos, which I won't spoil, and one that you might not expect. And if you haven't seen the other movies, you won't even know what these cameos mean, but I don't know that you will also lose a lot for not knowing what the cameos mean when they show up. But for the most part, this is a self-contained movie about Shang Chi here, who starts the movie. He's kind of a slacker living in California, and by the end of the movie, not quite as much. So this movie, like I said, is kung fu, and this movie lies in the strength of the actors and actresses in the movie. The best actor by far, in my opinion, is the character who plays his father. He is essentially the antagonist of the movie. His motivations make sense. His expressions are fantastic. He switches in how he acts in different ways, in emotions, in a very believable and well-done way. I think by far he is the best part of this movie, although Shang-Chi's aunt, Michelle Kwan, is also fantastic. And so I really like that. I'm not the biggest Awkwafina fan in some movies, but in this one, she played her part very well and brings the comedy part to this movie, which I thought was really well done also. The fight scenes are fantastic. And there are a few of them, the camera changed angles a few too many times for me. Of course, I was sitting slightly closer to the front of the theater than I normally am, so I was had a little bit of whiplash at points, but some of the stuff was fantastic. There's definitely a lot of CGI in the movie, but I didn't mind that. Really beautiful landscapes, some really cool sequences. The trailer showed a bit of stuff that I kind of wish it hadn't, but at the end of the day, the final stuff, the final big bad and stuff, not as exciting as you might think, but I was like pumped. And I'm excited to see him now go into the wider world of the Marvel Universe. That's what these movies are doing. They're starting to set up some of this stuff for, I'm assuming he'll be on the new Avengers team at some point in time. There are two after credit scenes. The first one you definitely should watch. The second one looks like it sets up for a sequel to this movie, so that's kind of exciting and good. So yeah, this is a really good movie. People are going to ask, where does it sit in the pantheon? I'm always too close. Like whenever I watch a Marvel movie, I'm always like, that was amazing, fantastic. And then as time goes by, I decide whether how amazing it was or maybe it's fallen down a little bit for me. But at first blush, even though this doesn't have a lot to do with Black Panther, it reminds me a bit of Black Panther, because what it does is it takes you out of the somewhat Ameriocentric Marvel Universe and puts you in a completely different culture and different things, which is neat. That's what Black Panther did with Wakanda, and this one is doing the same with just a completely different, all kinds of neat stuff. You see some, like a fight club, and you see a mystical village and things like that. So there wasn't a lot of major surprises in the movie. It kind of ended the way I thought it would end. But there was, like I said, some unexpected stuff that I found good. There's a lot of funny moments in it. The opening sequence, the opening fight scene, which again, a lot of that's in the trailer, is really well done. But the final fight scene was also very interesting. So 2 thumbs up from me. That's Shang-Chi, The Legend of the Ten Rings.
Or gags of the day. So let's get right to it. Game number 1.
Hey, hon.
Hang on one second. Hey, hon, what is it?
Seriously? The door's right there.
Well, I'm filming, and clearly I'm trying to show off. Marvel Legendary is the original Marvel deck building game. In it, players will build a varied deck of Marvel superheroes, which they'll use to knock out thugs, rescue bystanders, and fight a main villain. And if variety is the spice of your life, well, there are about 25 expansions out for this game, so you've got that going for you. Marvel United is a relatively light cooperative game from CMON. Come on? Yeah, it's Cash Money or Notes. Players play as a specific hero, but most of their actions are the same, and they'll use cards to move their miniatures across 6 different locations, fighting minions, rescuing citizens, and hopefully smacking down the main villain, each of which has their own victory conditions against the players. Players can share their actions from one move to the next, which gives the impression of those epic combat combos from the MCU films. Now, the base game of United is available in most big box stores, while the expansions can be found on the secondary market for the cost of, your firstborn child. Marvel Champions is the newest cooperative living card game from Fantasy Flight Games, where players pick a specific hero using a pre-made or custom-made deck of cards. Players work together against a specific villain deck, which can also be wildly customized. In addition, players may be forced to deal with the nemesis or backstory of their chosen hero. Now, while this game is just stacks of cards on your table, it is an immersive experience of calculated risks against an ever-changing game state. Then again, with 19 expansions already out and more recently announced, Marvel Champions could become the arch-nemesis to your wallet. Lastly, we have Marvel Crisis Protocol. Now, unlike the last several titles, this is a 2-player competitive-only game, and only the second option on this list that lets players step into the shoes of the Marvel villains. Protocol is a tabletop miniatures game with detailed components, interactive terrain, and unique powers for both heroes and villains. Now, honestly, I don't think any of these games gives a better experience of an epic battle between the good and evil of the Marvel Universe. That is, if you're willing to shell out some serious coin for content and invest some significant time into painting and detailing in order to obtain the full experience. Alright, so there you have it, a wide range of themes and mechanisms for the Marvel fan of nearly every budget. Alright, Avengers Assemble. I've always wanted to say that. Cheers. Ow!
See?
That is the smallest Captain America shield ever, but I guess it matches my small Thor's hammer here. So, all right. Well, folks, that's it for another Board Game Breakfast. Thanks so much for watching. Like I said, not a ton of live stuff coming, but there is a live playthrough tomorrow at 10 a.m. So we'll see you then. We're going to play that live playthrough, and then we're heading right to the Dice Tower Retreat. Super exciting. I'm having a great week. I hope you are too. If you're in America, happy Labor Day by not working unless you're in retail, in which case you have to work. It's very confusing. But until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching Board Game Breakfast.
Thanks for watching Board Game Breakfast. Tune in each week for your daily dose of gaming goodness with Tom Vasel and all the gang. Until next time, I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching Board Game Breakfast, a Dice Tower production.